What does he have to do with this?
Let anything, you know what I'm talking about. Let anything. No, I don't have to say it right now. Don't worry about it. I don't got to say it up here. Let anything happen. And I'm going to show you and him back.
In shape, 145.
Yeah.
In shape. You know what I mean? So this is different from a Crawford coming up to 168, but we know his walk-around weight is probably 170, 180.
That I couldn't believe, that was too insane, and honestly just baffling to think would be a real fight in 2025. Remind you that combat sports are the craziest sports on the planet.
Chaos exploded at the press conference for the Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul fight, turning what was meant to be simple pre-fight hype into pure mayhem. Tensions boiled over when Davis lost his cool after being pressed about why he chose Paul instead of top-ranked challengers. Paul seized the moment, dragging Davis's personal life into it and mocking his past, until moderators had to step in before things got completely out of hand.
And truly, when people run back this press conference, all the shit talk, all the fun, they're going to be like, wow, this kid really is doing something monumental in the sport, and he's actually insane boxer. And I'm going to show that this guy who's been doing it his whole life has been doing it wrong his whole life.
What'd you say, Tank?
He said he going to outbox me. Whoop-de-doo. Say that.
The one thing, when you have a fight of this magnitude, especially with Jake, because his appeal has been global, for you, Tank, do you think this is one of those fights where now all of a sudden you can show your boxing skills on a global scale to maybe people who weren't interested in boxing? All of a sudden they say, well, who is this guy?
Yeah, it's actually like, you know, now that I'm looking at it now, it's just like, I don't know, probably.
From the start, it was obvious this wasn't going to be friendly. The 6'1" Jake Paul, towering over the 5'5" Davis, perfectly captured the size gap fueling all the talk leading up to the fight. Paul bragged that his reach and strength would keep Tank at bay, while Davis fired back that speed beats size every time. Critics, however, weren't buying it. Many called the matchup a circus act, with Davis an undefeated lightweight champ and Paul a much bigger influencer turned boxer. The fact it's just an exhibition only added to the debate over whether it's a serious contest or pure entertainment. Jake Paul knows how to turn chaos into clicks, and this press conference was proof. From jokes and shoves to legal jabs and insults, it felt more like a reality show brawl than a sports event. Every move seemed staged for maximum viral impact. Reporters described it as loud, wild, and over the top, a spectacle that generated headlines but offered little real insight into what might happen when the gloves actually come on.
On the fight. But yeah, that was that. This time, Jake Paul is to take on Tank Davis. Tank Davis, he was recently in the news for being arrested for a domestic violence incident involving one of his kids' mother. He was alleged to have slapped her about the place. The charges were later dropped, to be fair to him. But yeah, that was when he was last in the news. What is interesting is just a couple of months ago, Tank Davis was saying openly that he'd lost his passion for boxing and that he wanted time away from the sport. There was speculation that he might even retire. as he was experiencing extreme mental fatigue from boxing, depression, and there were mental health concerns over him. However, I guess the opportunity to earn a truck full of money fighting a completely worthless exhibition fight against Jake Paul was enough to make him change his mind about boxing. Funny that, isn't it? But you know what? I'm not even going to waste your time or mine critiquing this utter nonsense. Suffice to say that this so-called fight we're talking about is an exhibition, and it pits Jake Paul, who is a cruiserweight, by the way, weighs in excess of 200 pounds, and Tank Davis, who is, he was the WBA lightweight champion, who weighs in at about 135 pounds when he fights. So that's a disparity of some 65 pounds. In old money, that's about 4.5 stone. There's also a significant difference in height. Jake Paul is roughly, 6'1", 2. Gervonta Davis is 5'5" at best. So, there's a height disparity there of some 8 inches. And once again, this is Jake Paul showing total disrespect to boxing, in my opinion. Once again, continued to pimp out the sport for his own financial ends. And worse still, the powers that be in boxing allowing him to get away with it and facilitating this utter bullshit. And meanwhile, what's even worse about this is that meanwhile, the WBA lightweight title that Tank Davis should be defending against Lamont Roach in a rematch. They fought.
Keith Thurman couldn't help pointing out the irony. The people who constantly bash Gervonta Davis are actually the ones keeping him relevant. Every time they criticize him, they still show up, watch, and talk about him. Thurman said that kind of negative attention only fuels Davis's fame. In a way, his haters are his biggest promoters, boosting his popularity even as they try to tear him down.
Jake will kind of bounce in between doing these entertainment fights and then, trying to push toward his goal of ingraining himself in the sport of boxing, and kind of does both of them. So it's kind of a weird place to be, because he wants the respect of the boxing fans and the boxing hierarchy and hardcore boxing people, but at the same time, he'll gain some of that and then lose some of it. It's like a seesaw of his fights. Like one fight, and be like, okay, that's a real fight, or that's a real fighter. And he'll go and he'll win the fight. Julio Cesar Chavez, real fighter, maybe past his prime, whatever, but Jake goes and wins that fight pretty easily, and then gets a lot of respect, gets a lot of the boxing hardcore love. And you have these talks about him fighting Anthony Joshua, and that was going to get even more respect. More people were like, that's fucking crazy. What are you doing? Myself included. That seemed like a massive risk, but a lot of people were like, okay, fair play. Anthony Joshua, that's a real heavyweight. Jake wants to fight him. He's a psycho, but fair play. And then you announce this one, and it's like, well, that's the same thing people have been saying about Jake for years. So it's a weird spot to be in for him, for sure. But I talked about this not being the first choice, and I don't think it was, because Coppinger reports next that talks for Jake Paul to face Anthony Joshua collapsed over network issues. Now, we had all heard the talks, and they were pretty public, from Eddie Hearn, from Jake. Nakisa Badarian, Jake's manager, was over in the UK on, I think, Sky Sports, talking about the fight and saying how it was a real possibility.
Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back either, slamming the rise of mismatched exhibition fights like Paul versus Mike Tyson. He said he was disappointed, even disgusted, that Paul keeps picking easy opponents instead of real fighters. Still, Stephen A. admitted Paul has brought attention and buzz to boxing, but attention isn't enough. Credibility only comes from testing yourself against true contenders. Smith also reminded Hands that, despite past controversy, Davis has proven he's a real champion, calm under pressure, ready for rematches, and always eager to prove his greatness again.
Is a professional. At some point in time, I don't give a damn if it's a light heavyweight. Better be a Bivol, a super middleweight, Canelo, Mexican Monster, David Benavidez, somebody that actually has a reputation. The time has come for Jake Paul to step into the ring with a cat who actually boxes for a living and give us that fight. I appreciate the fact of him promoting. I appreciate him having the cachet as a former YouTuber turned boxer. I like Jake Paul. I respect Jake Paul. I'm just saying, because I like him and because I respect him, I want to see him in the ring. And I don't want to hear, I know his numbers are better, but then he going to say, I don't need Canelo. Canelo needs me. Well, wait a minute. It ain't just...
Tank, first off, don't watch Tank. Don't do it. You know what I'm saying? You support it, then what you doing? You can't not support and support at the same time, right? So if you're a boxing purist, then this fight with Roach is really more for you. It's going to be more up your alley, you know? If you just like all entertainment, all fights, all hypes, all everything, then you're going to want to tune in to the Tank and Paul's show there, you know, because that's all for entertainment. What does it? For entertainment purposes only, right? It's just say like somewhere in the small print of the promotion. For entertainment, don't do this at home, kids. You know, don't find
Disclaimer.
Yeah, disclaimer. For entertainment purposes only, you know? So, you know, it's money-making purposes only, you know?